Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, global tech markets hit the circuit breakers. AI shifts from chatting to autonomously building. And SpaceX prepares to mint the world's first trillionaire while the Earth literally shakes.
Yeah, it's the ultimate collision. We're watching peak digital euphoria slam right into this unforgiving brick wall of physical reality.
Right. And that is exactly why you're here in the war room with us. Because today's stack of sources is just massive. We aren't just looking at polished headlines today.
No, not at all.
We're pulling from real-time options flow data, GitHub pull requests, orbital docking specifications, and even raw global seismological readings. Our mission today is to take you into the underlying mechanisms of the news.
Getting to the second-order effects?
Exactly. We are connecting the dots between a macroeconomic bloodbath currently unfolding in Asia, the dawn of autonomous AI loops, and the biggest cultural moments of the week. This way, you can see the hidden impacts before they hit your portfolio.
And we really need to start with the absolute carnage that happened overnight.
Yeah, let's get right into the hard news. If you look at the options flow data breaking across the wire this morning from the unusual whales feed, it is just flashing dark red.
It's brutal.
South Korea's KOSPI index plunged over 8% right at the opening bell. It was violent enough to actually trigger a massive trading halt.
You really have to look at what's under the hood of the KOSPI right now to understand why this matters to you. Because South Korea isn't just another regional market.
Right, it's a bellwether.
It's the planetary gearbox of the global AI boom. If their memory chip sector falters, the entire global tech engine essentially scripts its gears. And this follows directly on the heels of some serious foundational weakness we've been seeing in tech giants like NVIDIA and Broadcom.
Add in the highly contested U.S. jobs data and a rapid depreciation of the Korean won, and you have like a perfect macroeconomic storm.
But the real mechanism causing this violent 8% drop isn't just institutional panic, it's retail leverage.
I want to push back on that slightly, though, because South Korea is thousands of miles away from Silicon Valley. Why does a localized retail panic in Seoul mean U.S. tech is in immediate trouble?
Well,
Is the global AI hardware bubble actually popping, or is this just an isolated margin call?
it's the mechanics of the contagion that should worry U.S. markets. South Korea has incredibly high retail participation, and those traders, they absolutely love leverage. They are heavily positioned in 3x leverage memory ETFs.
Oh, wow. 3x leveraged.
Yeah. So let's break down the math of how a liquidation death spiral actually works. If you hold a normal ETF and the market drops 8%, you lose 8%. Painful, but you survive.
Sure.
If you hold a 3x leverage product, the underlying 8% drop translates to a 24% instant wipeout. Your broker doesn't just send you a polite email, they issue a margin call.
They forcefully liquidate your portfolio at market price to cover the debt.
Exactly. And that forced selling hits the open market, driving the price down even further, which triggers the next wave of margin calls for the people who are 2x leveraged. It is a mechanical trap.
And when the retail layer breaks like this, the contagion bleeds into other asset classes. Because these traders have to pull cash from wherever they can to survive.
Right. They sell what they can, not what they want to.
Which means they start liquidating their most liquid, risk-on assets. And this brings us perfectly to the ultimate retail barometer. There is incredibly sobering data circulating today from the Stats Feed account, the World of Statistics feed.
Yeah, I saw this. It's wild.
Here is the reality check for you. It is June 2026, and Bitcoin is sitting at exactly $62,000. Now, to the untrained eye, 62K sounds like a massive success, but that is the exact same nominal price it was in October of 2021.
That is a brutal statistic to internalize if you're a long-term holder. It forces you to confront the silent killer of all wealth, which is opportunity cost.
I was looking at the math on this earlier. Because BTC went completely parabolic, right, it hit an all-time high of over $126,000 in October 2025.
Yep.
Now it has bled out over 50% to end up exactly where it was 5 years ago. But the dollar from 2021 is not the dollar of 2026.
Precisely. And the debate happening in the financial chatter right now is entirely about that inflation adjustment.
Yeah.
If you took $62,000 in 2021 and simply put it into an S&P 500 index fund, you would have ridden a historic traditional market rally.
You would be up massively.
Right. But instead, if you held Bitcoin for those 5 years, did you actually lose money? The mathematical answer is yes.
Because cumulative inflation over the last 5 years has severely degraded the purchasing power of that 62K.
Exactly. The market is wrestling with a massive psychological barrier right now. Is 62K the new unbreakable bedrock support line, or are we looking at a sign of entirely exhausted liquidity?
Because retail traders are getting blown out in Asian tech markets today, like we just talked about. They're pulling cash from their crypto wallets tomorrow.
100%.
But, while the crypto markets stagnate and Asian tech indexes literally halt trading, there's one sector utterly defying financial gravity today.
Of course there is.
Watcher Guru is confirming the upcoming SpaceX IPO, slated for June 12th under the ticker SPCX.
Here we go.
They're going public at around $135 a share, aiming for a staggering $1.77 trillion valuation. If that holds to the bell, multiple financial models confirm this will mint Elon Musk as the first trillionaire in human history.
It's just an astronomical valuation. I mean, it's putting a private space company in the same breath as Apple or Microsoft. But what really fascinated me in the data wasn't just Musk's net worth. No, it was the downstream wealth creation for the employees.
Oh, the human element of this IPO is wild. Polymarket shared the story of Juan Hernandez, a Mexican immigrant and a welder at SpaceX. Back in 2015, he was given a $10,000 equity grant.
Just $10,000.
Yeah, and when this IPO drops, that single grant is expected to translate into an $880,000 payout.
Unbelievable.
And the prediction markets are leaning hard into the euphoria here. Polymarket currently gives a 63% chance that the IPO closes above a $2 trillion market cap by the end of its first week.
Look, it's a phenomenal, life-changing event for the early employees. I don't want to take away from that. But I have to look at the macro picture here and question the absolute peak exuberance of this moment.
You think it's overpriced?
How exactly does a $2 trillion IPO launch successfully into a global market where the foundational tech indexes are literally halting trading due to a margin crisis? It makes no sense.
Timing is rough, sure.
If you are a retail investor buying into SpaceX at a $2 trillion valuation on day one, you aren't buying the future. You are pricing in absolute flawless perfection for the next century.
Wow, flawless perfection.
Yes. If the broader market contagion we just saw in Korea spreads to the U.S., you will be the one left holding the bag.
I hear that skepticism, but look at the moat. SpaceX isn't just another tech startup with a good software product. They hold an absolute monopoly on atmospheric exit. They are the only game in town.
True.
And that blind faith the market has in Elon Musk's financial gravity is exactly what the U.S. government is relying on for actual physical gravity. NASA just announced that tomorrow, June 9th, they will reveal the Artemis III crew.
Which represents a monumental structural shift in how humanity operates beyond this planet. Artemis III isn't just a flag-planting mission.
No, NASA is actively calling it one of history's most complex operations.
Right, and let's break down why it's so complex. The entire mission relies on low Earth orbit docking tests with commercial landers.
Commercial.
Exactly. NASA cannot get to the surface of the moon without private sector spacecraft executing flawless orbital rendezvous maneuvers.
And this is the paradigm shift. NASA is no longer the sole architect and builder of these vehicles. They have transitioned into being a client.
We are completely outsourcing human survival to corporate hardware. This golden age of exploration that NASA is hyping up is entirely dependent on private companies achieving zero margin for error operations in the harshest vacuum imaginable.
It's incredible to think about the terrestrial baseline for that reliability, though. The Elon ecosystem permeates every level of this.
How so?
Well, Tesla just highlighted a post about a Model X they named Beast. The owner parked it with just a 26% battery and ran camp mode for 4 straight nights.
4 nights on 26%.
Yes, running the air conditioning and playing music the entire time without it dying. The power management is objectively impressive, so the hardware reliability is clearly there on Earth.
Right.
But the question hanging over that $2 trillion SpaceX valuation is whether that corporate reliability can scale to the moon.
Well, running an air conditioner in a parking lot is vastly different from autonomously docking 2 spacecraft traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. The complexity scales exponentially.
Speaking of exponential complexity, let's transition from flawless physical hardware to software that builds itself. Because the way we interact with AI fundamentally shifted this weekend.
This is huge.
Bindu Reddy, the CEO of Abacus.ai, posted about the open sourcing of something called light agent swarms. This moves us way past typing questions into a chatbot. We are entering the era of the autonomous agentic loop.
And this is exactly where AI transitions from being a productivity toy into critical infrastructure.
Let's explain how this swarm actually works under the hood for everyone listening. Think of a heavyweight model, like Opus 4.8 or GPT 5.5, as your general contractor.
Okay.
You give it a massive project. It breaks that project down into microtasks and acts as the planner. Then it takes much cheaper, lightning-fast models like DeepSeek Flash or Gemma and treats them as the workers, the plumbers and electricians.
Right, delegating the grunt work.
Exactly. In her live demo, she unleashed this swarm on a GitHub repository. The general contractor directed the workers to audit the code, and they produced code diffs and security risk reports at twice the speed and 10 times cheaper than a single massive model doing it alone.
See, it looks incredibly elegant on a slide deck. But when you dive into the developer pushback on the GitHub release notes, you start seeing the mechanical flaws. The real issue is the API handoff protocols. When the general contractor model hands a JSON file of instructions to the plumber model, what happens if they don't share the exact same contextual understanding of the code?
Oh, I see.
If the plumber misunderstands the technical parameters, it builds a pipe right through an electrical box. When you have multiple AI agents constantly communicating and writing code without human oversight, errors don't just happen, they compound exponentially.
That's a terrifying thought for enterprise software.
It brings up a massive economic question. Does the swarm system actually replace human software engineers? Or does it just create a wildly frustrating new job category?
What's the new job?
The AI middle manager, someone whose entire career is spent babysitting autonomous bots that are hallucinating syntax.
Well, Peter Steinberger Steepede in the developer community argues that we need to stop babysitting entirely. He published a viral thesis claiming that the era of prompting is dead.
Dead. That's a bold claim.
He says you shouldn't be typing instructions to coding agents anymore. Instead, you design an autonomous loop that prompts the agents for you. You provide a single, high-level file called vision.md.
Just one file.
Yes. You define the ultimate goal, and the loop writes the code, runs its own tests, fails, rewrites the code, and iterates until your vision is executed.
I mean, it assumes a level of system stability that is, frankly, divorced from current reality.
But Sam Altman is throwing his weight right behind this concept. On his feed, Summa, he announced a program rewarding top Codex developers with 10 times their normal API usage limits.
Throwing compute at the problem.
He's actively trying to subsidize what he calls a recursive loop of innovation, where the AI builds better tools for the AI to use.
Altman loves the philosophy of recursive improvement, but let's look at the physical constraints of his own ecosystem.
You mean the hardware?
Yes. You look at the developer chatter right now, and they are flooded with complaints about basic compute access. They can't even get stable responses from GPT-4o, or the system is completely hallucinating image generations.
So you think we're hitting a wall?
This raises the ultimate bottleneck question. Are we running headfirst into a compute wall? The energy grid and data center capacity are finite. Are token costs going to turn these AI swarms into a luxury tool exclusively for the tech elite rather than the democratized utility we were promised?
I have to challenge that compute wall theory, though, because historically, compute costs always trend toward zero. Look at what Amazon Web Services did to server costs over the last 15 years.
That's true, but...
If Altman achieves this recursive loop, why wouldn't the AI eventually figure out how to optimize its own server architecture, completely solving the token and energy issues you're worried about?
Because AWS was optimizing software and basic silicon, AI scaling requires gigawatts of electricity and physical cooling infrastructure.
Right, real-world resources.
Exactly. You can't prompt a power plant into generating more electricity out of thin air. AI optimization still has to obey the laws of thermodynamics.
And that collision between digital utopias and physical constraints brings us perfectly to our final focal point today, because the physical world has a very abrupt way of reminding us who is actually in charge.
Unfortunately, yes.
There was a massive breaking alert from the Spectator Index feed, reporting an 8.2 magnitude earthquake triggering tsunami warnings across the Philippines, Indonesia, Palau, Taiwan, and Papua New Guinea.
This is where the speed of modern information networks becomes actively dangerous.
How so?
Well, yes, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center did issue potential threat warnings for those areas, which is a terrifying life-or-death reality for the people on the ground.
Absolutely.
But if you cross-reference that alert with the United States Geological Survey, which is the absolute gold standard for global seismological data, they have not independently verified an 8.2 magnitude quake.
So we have a scenario where millions of people are receiving algorithmic panic alerts based on unverified metrics.
Precisely. The newswire vibe of social media strips away all nuance. We are watching a real-time collision of absolute physical danger with the algorithmic need for viral reach.
It's wild to think about.
When an AI agent amplifies an earthquake report simply because it detects high engagement, it forces you to ask, what is verified reality and what is just engagement farming during a crisis?
Wow. But the physical world isn't just about natural disasters. It's also about undeniable, raw human emotion that cannot be digitized or replicated by a swarm of bots.
That's a good point.
Look at the milestone we just witnessed in the sports world. The official Arsenal feed posted raw footage of their Premier League title parade in London.
The sheer physics of that crowd are staggering.
We are talking about 1.5 million fans flooding the physical streets. It is their first top-flight crown in 22 years, clinched under Mikel Arteta.
Amazing.
And the video montage isn't some polished broadcast. It is just an endless sea of humanity, flares, and visceral street parties.
We just spent 20 minutes dissecting digital echo chambers, autonomous code writing bots, and Bitcoin trading in the ether. But you cannot prompt an AI agent to fake 1.5 million people screaming in the streets of London.
No, you can't.
It is a vital reminder that the physical world is still the ultimate arena for human experience.
And sometimes that human experience is driven by the most absurd, hyper-specific quirks.
Oh, definitely.
Fabrizio Romano shared a story that perfectly captures the actual currency of modern culture. Lamine Yamal, the 18-year-old Barcelona and Spain winger, has made a public promise.
I love this story.
He stated that if Spain wins the upcoming 2026 World Cup in North America, he will grow a beard and mustache for 3 weeks.
Which is objectively hilarious because the actual sports analytics debate was entirely sidelined.
Wholly ignored.
The cultural reaction was just an avalanche of memes debating whether an 18-year-old is even biologically capable of growing a full beard in 3 weeks.
It's brilliant marketing, though. It completely hijacked the global conversation.
It did, and it proves how cultural engagement actually functions today. We don't rally around polished corporate sports broadcasting anymore.
Right.
Culture is driven by the side quests, the memes, the hyper-specific personality bets, the human quirks. That is what captures the collective invention.
So how do we tie all these threads together for you, the listener? Let's synthesize the vibe of today's deep dive.
Let's do it.
Today, we saw the extreme friction between our accelerating digital wealth and the immutable laws of physical reality. We are building open-source AI swarms to write our code, and we are prepping to value a space exploration company at nearly $2 trillion.
Massive digital ambitions.
Right. But those digital ambitions are crashing head-on into the unforgiving realities of hardware market wipeouts in South Korea, thermodynamic compute walls, real-world earthquakes, and millions of very real fans demanding physical connection in the streets of London.
We are living with one foot accelerating into a digital utopia and the other foot anchored in physical chaos.
Which brings me to you. What is your specific prediction for tomorrow, based directly on the mechanics of these intersecting trends?
Tomorrow morning, I want you to watch the U.S. market open very closely. I predict the South Korean co-SPI tech wreck is not localized. It is going to force U.S. institutional investors to cover their margins.
Meaning they sell.
Yes. To do that, they will liquidate their most liquid risk-on assets first, which means massive selling pressure in crypto.
Wow.
I expect that pressure to drive Bitcoin down, breaking briefly below that crucial 62K support line we discussed. And when that broader tech fear hits Wall Street, institutional underwriters are going to be forced to completely rethink the pricing of the SpaceX IPO before Wednesday. The $2 trillion dream is about to face a very harsh reality check.
Incredible. Well, before we go, I want you to think about this final thought. If 1.5 million people will flood the physical streets of London just to feel a shared connection over a soccer trophy, and autonomous AI swarms are about to take over all of our digital busywork, what happens to human purpose?
That's the real question.
Are we building this ultimate digital utopia just so we have more time to stand in the streets and feel something real? Is physical connection about to become the ultimate luxury asset in an AI-generated world? The tools are getting smarter, but the muddy waters of human desire and panic remain exactly the same.
Well said.
Stay sharp, question the consensus, and we'll see you tomorrow.